Yeah. So one thing people don't actually realize is that like the first step is actually unlearning a lot of bad reading habits. So you mentioned like sometimes you have this guilt from like dropping a book, but that's only because like I'm working on this article talking about like unlearning all the bad reading habits we picked up from school actually, because school teaches us how to read, but it doesn't teach us how to be readers. And those are two separate things. Like you could be literate, but you may not like read books.
Mhm.
So like I talked with this Anne Bogle. She wrote this great book, I'd Rather Be Reading, and she talks about like the book police. That there's no like imaginary police officer coming to like arrest you if you don't read certain books or if you like quit a book that even if some people say it's like a bestseller or it's a classic or like must read, like just because a book other people have enjoyed it doesn't mean you'll enjoy it, and that's completely
Mhm.
okay because we're all different people and we all find different things interesting. And the key here is to quit books and not quit reading, because too many people they get stuck on a book, and this happened to me before too. It's like, hey, this is a great book, you should read it. I'm like, okay, let me check it out. And it's just like, it's like someone pulling your hair while you're reading it. It's like, it's like painful. And that's the thing. If you're reading and you're not enjoying it, you're basically just going to drop reading altogether, which is like terrible. It's like it's much better to drop a book than to drop the entire reading habit. And when it comes to like finding interesting books, I call it like the two C's. So you want to find books that are either cures or curiosity. So cures would be like, I want to, learn better habits. So, maybe quit smoking or drink more water or start more exercising. Like books that cure something a problem you're having.
Mhm.
And the second part is curiosity. So jot down all the things you're curious about and just try to find books in those areas, because there are millions of books out there and you're almost guaranteed to find a book on a certain subject. Like one great example I like to share is like one day I saw a video of someone was on news of someone escaping North Korea, and I was like, I hear North Korea in the news a lot, and it's like they're like this hermit kingdom that not that many people have been to. I'm like, let me read a book about someone that has been in North Korea, and this great book called The Aquariums of Pyongyang. And this guy grew up in North Korea and he spent like 10 years in like a labor camp there, and he shares like what the country is actually like. And then he actually escaped North Korea and he went to like I think it was Japan or Singapore, and it's just a fantastic book. And it's like that book really satisfied my curiosity. So yeah, so you want to look for books that either cure a problem you're having or satisfy your curiosity about something, and that way you're always going to be interested in reading something. And if you happen to pick a book that you don't like it's okay to drop it, move on. If you bought it, return it, or maybe donate it to a friend or like a local bookstore or something. And you just want to make reading enjoyable, because as Naval said, if you read what you love, you'll love to read. And I think that's the secret.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird how when it comes to books, people, or at least I do, I'm sure other people feel it as well, that you have this kind of self-judgment where you think because you started a book, you owe it to yourself, or you owe it to some book god to to finish the book. But with every other media platform, I don't get that feeling. If I have a movie that's not keeping my attention 20 minutes in, I never think, oh, well, I have to watch the next hour and 20 minutes, or I need to finish the full 4-hour podcast. Like there's something that some books have that are intangible that keep you excited. And I think it's like when you respect that more and more with whatever content you're consuming, that refuels your excitement for reading.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's like, I think it goes back to like the bad habits we learn from school, where one, it's like you don't get to pick your books in school, they're just assigned to you. And people develop this bad habit of being reactive about what books they read and not being proactive. It's like a friend recommended me a book, so I have to read it, instead of being like, let me see what I'm interested in and try to find books in those areas. And yeah, in like school, it's like, okay, you're assigned this book and it's like you have to read it for a class. If you don't read it for a class, you might fail, and that's going to be terrible as well. But like we're out of high school, we're out of college, it's like you are free as a reader. You could read whatever you want. You could quit whatever books you want. Like all the time, like someone said, there's a great reading section about Montague, the famous philosopher, and he has this great section about reading. I didn't read the whole book about him. Like I'm not interested in like his entire life, but I am really interested in how reading affected his life. So I read like 1 or 2 chapters from that book, and like I haven't touched it since. And it's like it's okay to treat books, and this is also a great tip from Naval, like treat it as like a blog post. Like you could read one chapter, you could skip to another chapter, and there's some chapters in a book that like just aren't interested, like, or won't provide value for me. So no point in me reading them. So you could skim, you could skip chapters, and if the book is just not for you in general, you could feel free to quit. And like you said, the book gods won't look down upon you if you do.